Hi, this is Tiffany Fykes, and I've been selling real estate for 9 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our marketing plan, has sold over 600 homes all over the Middle Tennessee market. And this is how we do it.
All right, John. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day today to talk to me. We look like air traffic controllers with our headphones today,
That's right.
or amazing agents that make a lot of phone calls, right?
That's right. Yep. Absolutely.
Um, okay, so tell me a little bit about why, we're just going to talk about your journey in real estate and what you've learned. And so why in the world did you want to get into real estate?
Well, it goes back to when I was in high school, actually, and started to kind of look around at colleges and figure out what I wanted to do. And I was looking through, so I lived in Denver at the time, and there had been a massive urban sprawl movement in Denver when I was in high school. And so home building really kind of struck a chord with me, and I was like, that looks like a lot of fun. It'd be really cool to help people actually build a house and be a part of the whole construction process. And so I found a school that specialized in real estate and construction management. It was the University of Denver, and I went and got my degree there. And through the home building journey, I thought that I was going to do that forever, and really had an opportunity with my wife's career to move us out to Nashville. And that's when I decided to go on to the other side of the table to really say, okay, building was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun helping people build homes. And now can I help people actually go out and buy them and start building their wealth and investing in real estate? So it was a long journey for me, but it really started kind of in high school when I was like, okay, I saw what was happening in the area that I lived, and thought it'd be a lot of fun to be a part of it. And the home has always been something more than just a pile of sticks and bricks, that are put together in a nice orderly fashion. But it was
Hopefully.
always something, hopefully, but it always meant something more than just the construction piece. So that was kind of like why I got into real estate at the very beginning, just really understanding what a home was, and thought it'd be really cool to help people build homes, and then now, set up their lives by investing in real estate and finding the home to buy.
So if you knew that you wanted to do real estate back then, like if you were thinking about getting into construction or real estate, like why'd you go to college? Why not just start
Um,
doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I felt like I had earned the right to go to college, and I think my parents kind of agreed and said, you need to go to college. It was kind of the thinking back then,
Yeah.
to say, go get your degree, and then it'll open up doors for you. So getting the education I felt was going to help me specialize in the industry, rather than just a general education. But it was very business oriented, the degree that I got, and so. It helped me, and that was just the goal, like get the degree and then go look at it. But it was more about just that benchmark as a child, really, still in my teens.
Yeah. So this is a totally different path, but like for people who are thinking about that, if they've got a vision of I want to get into real estate, like do you think that college is worth, like how are you better? Would you do that again? Like what do you think about that?
So I think you can go both ways, but I think that as long as you know what you want to do within real estate, you can go find the specialty education places that will help you, uh, not only get your license, obviously that's one place you need to go, but just to educate yourself on what you really want to do. And so going through a whole college degree and getting a general education is not mandatory for real estate, but you do want to um, have a specialty in one area. So if you're going to go into commercial real estate, maybe take some classes that go into commercial real estate, or if you want to go into residential, take some classes that'll help you just become a business person within the real estate world, because it is not just about showing people houses. You're actually a business owner, and so I would say you don't need to get your college degree, but finding a way to at least get you immersed in the business world would be very helpful.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's talk about your jump from construction in Denver to moving to Nashville. Like, why didn't you get back into construction? Why did you want to get into selling houses?
Well, it was actually a pretty easy decision for me. The builder that I had worked for, the culture had gone out the window. When I started there, it was very much like the brokerage that we work for now, where there was just an amazing culture and a lot of fun and really cared about the people and always asking questions and things like that. The culture really changed after the downturn.
Okay.
And so it was more about the bottom line. And then it just happened that when all of this was going down, my wife had an opportunity with her job. And when we moved to Nashville, I thought about going back into building. And I knew that builder wasn't for me. And so I started exploring. I said, well, home building has given me a great base to actually go and help families individually and on a much a greater spectrum of variety. The builder that I was working for was very, cookie cutter type construction. And I really wanted to help people more on an individual level to say, what are your goals and how can I help you within the real estate industry to reach those goals? And so it was much more about the people than it was the business practice. And so that's why I made the change, because I thought, okay, we're going to get some variety. I'm going to be able to help people on a more individual basis, instead of, asking the electrician to throw his trash into the trash can for the 10th time today. So I thought that sounded a little bit more interesting.
And yet still we ask people to throw their trash away multiple times
Yep.
during a transaction, don't we? So talk to me about like getting into real estate. What was the path like? How, was it easy? What was it like actually jumping from construction into the actual home sale side of things?
So just like a lot of other industries, there are a lot of skill sets that transfer over. Being organized and professional, things like that. Being able to plan and execute on a plan. Um, Making the transition from home building into real estate was much more from operations to sales, basically. And not only that, but then, creating business within businesses. And so, I mean, quite literally, it was going and interviewing different brokerages and talking to them. What is it like to be an agent within your brokerage? What are some things that I can expect from you, and what are some things that I'll need to be aware of that everyone expects from me? And so there was a lot of interviewing different agents. I knew from the get-go that Keller Williams was going to be a good fit for me because of the education and everything that goes along with that. And then it was just a series of interviews to find out who was going to be the best fit for me, and where I could make the most impact.
So when you were thinking about getting into a sales role that you'd never been in sales before,
Right.
what made you nervous about that? Because I mean, here's the other thing that they probably don't realize, or maybe haven't thought about. You moved from Denver to Nashville and then started sales. So,
Right.
What made you nervous about that transition?
Well, pretty much everything. Because I had done very little sales before I had jumped into it, and I don't actually think I knew how much sales was actually going to be in real estate as an agent, and what really the day-to-day kind of looked like. And so everything made me nervous because it was uncharted territory. I knew the product, I knew the idea and the process because I had bought a home before, and obviously through building we know all the key terms that go along with everything. But really, I really didn't know what I was getting into until a few months in. It was like, okay, this is, and then it's a matter of, uh, educating yourself and finding what it is that is going to help you be successful in that role.
So so you didn't know that there was so much sales. Then once you realized there was so much sales, then what made you nervous? Like, what did you have to overcome to be as successful as you are?
So you have to overcome your own fears. I had to overcome my own fears, and that's really what it boiled down to. And figuring out, okay, this is an area that I'm not really all that familiar with. So how am I going to approach this? And so,
what's specific? Like when you say this is an area, what is that?
Yep. So with sales, words are your tool, right? And so it is scripts. It is specifically learning the language of sales and learning what different closes are and embedded commands and things like that. So through through our team and through all of the education that's available to us, took different classes. There's different classes along the way that can help emerge you into things like that, like the language of sales, or there was a class I took that was very helpful called Creating Urgency with Buyers. So there's different classes available through the brokerage to help you with those things. And so taking those classes, overcoming those specific fears of I don't really know what to say. I remember one of my first phone calls. It was a cold call, and I had been asking if they had a buyer need, or if they were calling through a neighborhood to find out if they know any neighbors who are selling their house, because we had a buyer that wanted to buy a house in that neighborhood. And one of my first phone calls, the guy says, well, I don't know anybody, but we've been thinking about it. And I remember freezing and being like, okay, great, have fun. Good luck. And like, okay, I probably need training on how to go ahead and close that deal. So things like that along the way, where it's like, okay, that guy said yes, and I realized I didn't know what to do when he said yes.
Yeah.
So surrounding myself with the people who know what to do is a big part of that.
So let's talk about, like, okay, you were nervous, you didn't have experience in sales. Now within 2 or 3 years, you're selling 40 houses a year. You've done that for the last 3 years. You're being flown out to DC to talk on a panel later this year. Like, how did you actually get there? What's the plan you put in place? Like, what did you actually do to have the success that you have?
So there's a few things that are super helpful, and time blocking is a big one of them. You'll hear a lot of agents talk about time blocking, and it's not about selling real estate, it's about following a calendar. So that's a big part of it, is making sure that you have the time blocked during the day to take care of, okay, business one is really going and finding business, and then business two is servicing your clients. And so time blocking is a big one.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. What does your calendar look like right now? Like, give us an example of a day. What do you do in a day?
So each day is just a little bit different, but the framework is the same, where it's on Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I take Wednesdays off to recharge for the weekend. But on a typical day, it's doing lead generation in the morning for about 3 hours, making sure that we're making those calls. And lead generation is making those outbound calls to say, who do you know that's thinking about selling real estate, calling your sphere and whoever. So it's time blocking in the morning to make those calls, and then the afternoon is time blocked for everything else. And so what the calendar looks like today is a day will say, lead generation in the morning, and then open for appointments in the afternoon. If those appointments don't get taken up, then it's open for appointments, or either more lead generation or some client service. So it's lead generation in the morning and everything else in the afternoon.
Okay. Okay. So what else? What else do you do? What other pieces of your plan do you execute? Like, where do you actually find these people that you lead generate to?
So there's a lot of different sources. Sphere is one. Open houses is another lead source where these people are found, and different advertising that the company provides as well, that our group provides for that. So open houses is a good one. Calling through your sphere, there we get referrals through our sphere that way as well. And oftentimes we'll cold call through neighborhoods where you will be able to find someone who says, yeah, maybe not today, but maybe in 6 months or longer. And then the biggest piece there is that follow-up. So we talked about lead generation in the morning, but then also following up with these people is huge, because a lot of people don't get callbacks, and the people that do is the people who end up earning the business.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you have to overcome? Like, what did you battle within yourself around, maybe it was a piece of sales or a piece of growing your business? Like, what do you feel like is the biggest thing you've overcome in real estate?
Really, it's my own mindset. When you're in sales, there's a lot of affirmations to be said because you hear a lot more no's than you do yeses. And so I had to overcome a lot of internal dialogue that was like, these people don't want to talk to me. I've never sold a house. They don't know me, especially in that first year. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. a lot of mindset. I had to overcome just the sheer fear of just getting on the phone or doing door knocking. And the the one of the actually I think it was the very first door I ever knocked on. The lady opened it and just said, "Get out of here! Don't ever come back." I was like, "This is really what this is going to be like." So you just
So then
go and
how did
find
you
the next
knock the
yes.
next door? I mean, if that's what happened, how did you keep going?
So on that particular instance, I didn't. I said, okay, that's not for me. And then within the week, went back out and had plenty of great conversations. And so it's just having that mentality and preparing your mind for okay, if it's this person might say no, but the next one's going to say yes. And just letting it roll off, because it's not me that they're mad at. Maybe she was in the middle of something very important. I don't know what I interrupted, but it's not me that they're mad at. It's not the situation, so you can't take it real personally. So you gotta have a little bit of tough skin and really think about, okay, can I learn from this experience? What can I do better next time? And how can I change what I'm going to do next time in order to have a better result?
Yeah.
So that's really what I had to overcome. Was, okay, that was a learning opportunity. It wasn't a huge, I'm not the worst like that lady apparently thinks I am.
Yeah.
But it was really overcoming a lot of the rejection and just the fear of getting after it.
So did your plan go perfectly? Like your 6-year career in real estate, has it just gone swimmingly and with no issues?
No, there's been plenty of issues along the way. But I think one thing that helps me stay focused is not only being around the team environment and having a group that I can, lean on when I need to. But it's also just that my wife and I call it the tape measure effect, where if you stretch out a tape measure about 80 feet long and you think about each one as a year, like one day on that tape measure is like so small. So it's like just tape measure effect, learn from it, wipe it off, and keep moving on.
Yeah. So what'd you really learn about yourself in the process of getting into real estate and, getting to be successful? What did you learn about yourself?
Um, I learned a great deal, and I think that one of the biggest things that I've learned is just um, how I can how I need people to help keep me accountable. How I really enjoy having the freedom to do my own thing, but really count on having a structure to, like we talked about, the time blocking, right? Like that structure and that team environment really keeps the accountability, because as a real estate agent, you are your own business owner and you can do whatever you want. And that's dangerous for some people, because you could just like wake up and go to breakfast and go read the paper or go hang out at Starbucks, and before you know it, your day is over. And so uh, what I learned about myself is that accountability piece, really having people around me that are going to help push me forward, help me grow, was a huge thing for me to be successful in my career.
So what would you say, like, you came in to Nashville with no sphere, you knew no one, you've built an amazing
Yeah.
career. So how has following the plan that you put in place and, being on this team really changed your life?
I don't think I would have been able to do what I can without the team. And that may be a mindset thing that I'll change over time, but it's changed my life in a lot of ways, because not only are my goals attainable, but we set big goals in order to have a big life. And when talking about time blocking, one of the most important things to time block first is family. It's amazing that I haven't mentioned that yet, because that is one thing that's super important to everybody within the team. It's one of our core values. And so it's really opened my eyes up to say, okay, we can have a big business, we can go on vacations, we can enjoy our family because we're involved with each other. There were times where I had to step out for weeks at a time, if not months, and the team was there to help keep the business moving along. I think you told me, was it a couple of months ago, where it was, the business doesn't have to stop just because you're out of town. Like that's why we work with other people and work in a group, because it can continue to move forward. And it's just been very enlightening for me to have been able to build such a big business in such a short amount of time within the organization and the people that we work with.
Yeah. Okay. So last question. A lot of people who watch these are newer agents. So what is your advice? Like, what's one actionable thing? Not like airy-fairy advice. Like, what's the one thing that you think will help someone else be more successful in real estate if they implement this one thing?
If they can implement anything, I would say that really the lead generation portion of your day needs to be very strict with yourself, and set up accountability partners if you have to. But really, I really believe that it's not about selling real estate, it's about following that calendar. And so setting up those times to say, okay, these are the times I'll be on the phone. And it doesn't have to be the same time every day, but whenever it's blocked, make sure that you're doing it, because that's what's going to drive your business forward. So it's really managing that calendar, making sure you have that lead generation time blocking in there, and then making sure you have the family time in there, or downtime, whatever that looks like to you as a new agent. And then making sure that you have the service time, because you're going to get clients with all the lead generation that you're doing. And surround yourself with other people who are doing it at the level that you want to get to. So find agents who are 2 or 3 years deep, 5 years deep. Find agents who are going to be the ones that can help to say, hey, I just hit a roadblock, what do I do here? That would be my advice. That's your one thing. That was like 5 things, but it's time blocking in and finding those people to surround yourself with, because the real estate community is huge and there are tons of people who just want to share and help.
Yeah. So with the time blocking, and you said, hold yourself accountable. What's one tip you have that you've used to help hold yourself accountable to that lead generation time?
The one tip to keep yourself accountable is shut down everything else. If you're in lead generation, wherever your list is, whatever CRM you're using, or however you have your list, shut down everything else, because it's super distracting. And it's really easy to say, hey, this guy needs help doing this right now. And it's much easier to say, okay, that's going to get me to this little goal faster. But right now, I forget how Gary Keller says it, but it's let the future be the authority over today. Mm-hmm. So it's making sure that you keep the distractions at a minimum, if not eliminate them as best as you can.
I love that, because when I started, that's what I did. I couldn't be trusted with a computer. I couldn't trust myself with a computer because I would get distracted by all the things. So I literally had pieces of paper that I would write my notes on, and I had my list that way, because I couldn't trust myself with a computer, because of the alerts and the dings, and just there's a whole internet out there.
Right.
So
right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much for spending some time with us, sharing. And I'm sure that if anybody has any questions, you'd be willing to answer.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, John.
All right. Thank you.